Hey everybody, it's Norm here, making the very rare video, something I don't do quite often, but I've been thinking a lot about Tulsi Gabbard here since her performance at the debates. And as everybody knows, I'm anti-war. I'm neither a Republican nor a Democrat. I am simply anti-war, and I've had my eye on Tulsi for probably, I don't know, the last 10 months or so. When I first heard her name, I think Tom Woods had probably mentioned her on his show, and I started looking into her. And regardless of what you think of Tulsi's domestic policy, the first thing you have to deal with is that foreign policy, and which is, let's end the wars and bring them home, bring our troops home. And that, to me, is the most sane policy. So I've been a little bit vocal about it over the last 24 hours, and I've had some pushback from my conservative friends, and my Trump supporting friends. Oh, she's she's anti-Second Amendment, and she has a horrible domestic policy. Let's take that and dissect it. Let's just grant that as a fact, that she is anti-Second Amendment and that she is horrible. Completely everything about her domestic policy we hate. Those are the two main objections, by the way. The way I see that we can deal with these two objections is pretty quickly is on the Second Amendment issue. I'm quick to point out the current occupant of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Donald J. Trump, is no friend to the Second Amendment. And in fact, he has already said, we'll take the guns and then we'll worry about due process later. That's very disturbing in and of itself, and everybody knows it. I mean, if you're a supporter of the Second Amendment and you're a supporter of gun rights, when you heard those words, you got to be lying if you were said that you just were not, scared shitless to hear those words or to read those words when you read them. It's like, wow, he's showing his real colors, his true colors. But I can't imagine Tulsi Gabbard ever saying that as president, as a candidate. She's too smart, she's too articulate, and even if she thought that, she wouldn't say that. And I don't think she does. She took an oath as a soldier to defend and protect and uphold the Constitution, and I think she seems to be the real deal. Right along the lines of Ron Paul, at least when it comes to this. So that objection, it's not in and of itself, it's something that is a game stopper. Then you kind of have to deal with the second half of the equation, that she's terrible on domestic policy. Now, the truth be told, I haven't really found much on her website about exactly what her domestic policy is. So, I can't say honestly what exactly it is. I mean, she on her website, she pays some lip service to health care, typical stuff that you would hear any politician who is a Democrat say, but there's no specific position papers on it. There may be, and I just wasn't able to find them. But I'm certain that she holds typical Democrat views on those things. Be that as it is, or be that as it may, think about it this way. If she ends the wars and brings our troops home and closes down the bases over there, that's trillions of dollars that come back into our economy. And that's something that in the very first hour as president, she could just simply, right after she puts her hands on the Bible, she could turn around and sign the order to withdraw the troops. All of her domestic policy would have to be battled out in Congress. So you know, and it's just not going to fly through. You know, as we've seen with both Republicans and Democrats, when they control all three branches of government, they prove time and time again that they only play lip service to their domestic policy, except for their top tier stuff, right? And then they kind of have this little battle between them, and occasionally you get something like Obamacare that passes, and you know, and then somebody says they're going to repeal it. You know, that's just standard stuff, but that all can be fought here peacefully in Congress, in the media, on Facebook. You can debate about it and stuff like that. So it's secondary to ending the war. Then lastly, I think, and I was thinking more about this afternoon, you know, there's a scenario that plays out in my mind, and the scenario is Tulsi Gabbard. She takes the nomination for the Democratic National Committee and becomes the Democratic candidate. Hooray! Donald J. Trump, when it comes to doing political maneuvering, he's a smart man. He's proven that. He's very savvy when it comes to this. And I can guarantee, I'm not guaranteeing this, but I can say with highest of confidence that this strategy would, if not already spoken about, is in somebody's mind. In order to take the wind out of her sails, he just ended the war. And so he can then say, I've got the greatest economy, blah, 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 all the other stuff that you hear from Trump. And I ended the wars. I made peace with North Korea. And I'm going over to make peace with Iran. I can see him doing that. You know? So if Tulsi wins the nomination, there's a really high likelihood that even if she doesn't make it to be president, but puts enough pressure from the people on Donald J. Trump, we could end this war before the 2020 elections. And that's something that you really have to consider, because I think that's a very good reality if she gets enough support. And I think that she's starting to gain a lot of support from us anti-war folks who are very right-leaning, because we're all realizing this. You know, everything else is you know, who really cares? Ending the war and bringing our troops home and having healthy, constructive relationships with our with other governments and having friendly, peaceful commerce. That's what Ron Paul was all about, and that's what I'm still about. Even though Ron Paul is long since left, you know, that's where I'm at. And so that's why, as somebody who's been an anarchist and a voluntarist and who said I would never, ever, ever back another damn candidate again in my life, I'm going all in on this one, and I'm backing her. And so I hope to see you over at Anti-War Midshore for Tulsi Gabbard 2020 on the Facebook group. Join me and let's discuss this. Peace out.